Gotta say it all together. Paul Angelo Logiudice, Director of Design and Color Innovation at Newell Rubbermaid. And is anyone familiar with Calphalon? It's a line of cookware. You'll find this at Bed Bath, Macy's, and like that. And I'm actually head of design for that. So again, an interesting way of looking at culinary besides just being a kind of running a restaurant or cooking in the kitchen. So, industrial design. I actually lead a team of industrial designers. Most people associate design with clothing, okay? But think about designing products. Every product, even that pencil or that pen you're holding in your hand, someone had to design that. Think about it. Someone had to come up with what's the shape and form that is, okay? So they're considered, generally we call them industrial designers, okay? And this is actually a career. You go to school, it's a 4-year program, and you study how to create and design product. The art and practice actually doing the art of designing, so creating, an object for manufacture. Because every object, besides having to design it, someone has to build or make that, manufacture that item. And so everyone knows, iPhone, incredible design. A lot of people hold that up as like, that's design. It's really neat to have that pride and be able to say, I created that, And these are different products that Calphalon makes, cookware. They made an ice cream scoop. I says, ice cream scoops usually have one angle to them. I says, what about if I'm right-handed or left-handed? So I thought, well, maybe I could put a hook like on all ends of that so everyone can use this ice cream scoop no matter which way you use it. Someone had to think of that. It was one of my thoughts there and how that kind of adds to the innovation of that product. So let's go through the process of creating a product. So let's go ahead and look at these kind of 5 steps of design. So again, if you're considering being a designer, as a trade, these are kind of the steps you would do as a designer. And let me tell you, being a designer that has a culinary background, can you imagine the strength that would have versus a regular designer that has no culinary background? So if you're studying culinary, but you also have an interest in the arts, this could be a neat career field for you because you can apply both of your disciplines, your learnings. And so I often encourage all of our designers when they come on board, if they didn't take any culinary programs, I actually send them to some basic cooking schools. Because can you imagine designing, cookware products and you never fried an egg? How would you know what the pan needed to do? So, concept sketches. The first step is concept sketches. So first off, I was told to, our team right here, our team that created these, so we want to design a knife block and some knives, but we really wanted them to be very forward in their design thinking. This is going to be our top in line, really fashion forward. People are going to put this out on the counter. And so the first thing that designer does is get a data start. And maybe you might put a picture of who the consumer is there too, in front of you as to who you're designing it for. And so I'm going to think creatively and draw up these different silhouettes. It's just quick sketches. And I'm going to draw, maybe sometimes we'll draw about 20 of them. We'll do the block. So we'll actually make fake personalities. It's kind of fun making up people, okay? And we'll say, okay, this is the goddess. She loves to cook. Kitchen is her centerpiece, So I'll picture her in front of me, maybe some of the things she likes in her house. So I'll put a picture of the goddess. She likes the, granite counters and stainless tables. So I'll put those pictures in front of me. So I'm looking at stainless tables, those granite counters, or that very modern. This one likes more modern things. So I have a modern image of some modern vases or things that you'll have in her home. And again, these are just thumbnail sketches. I'll draw all different kind of options. If I'm designing your linens, I would draw maybe 20 different pattern designs, okay? So now I have a bunch of ideas, and then I'll post them on the wall, and I'll get my marketing buddies to come in, and they'll say, love it, hate it, We then pick our top ideas. We may take 2 ideas, I like the handle of this, but I like the forward part of this. And so then my next step might be combining those together, okay? Okay, now is the refinement stage. Okay, so the refinement stage, the previous slide was all sketches, hand-drawn. This I'm going into like Alias or Adobe Illustrator or one of those programs like that. And if you enjoy working on the computer, this is a great career field as well. A lot of computer-generated images are done here. It's amazing what you can do with software programs today. And create these images, and then I can actually, with those images, actually print out a 3-dimensional model. They actually print out like it's a powder printer, and it gets it dimensionally correct. And it's the exact image that I created on my computer screen. It's really cool. And I'll do that for both the block and the knife. Sometimes I'll make the models by hand. Sometimes we'll actually have them printed off by some of these machines that are actually designed to take the geometry that's on your computer screen and actually make a physical model. It's so cool. They're called SLA or prototype models, depending on the type of process you're using. And we'll create a model, and then that way you can look and see. You can maybe even take this in front of some consumers or a group like yourself. And then finally, we'll create the 3D geometry, which is created in Pro E, and generally that is when we hand it off to the engineering department. And they actually create the three-dimensional model. Good design is very important, and bad design is very painful.
Do you design stuff for restaurant use?
For restaurant and for home chefs.
How's it different?
Restaurants are usually more robust, more durable. The original products that Calphalon made were originally sold only to restaurants. And then what we started to do is people started to realize that, hey, that's really good stuff. Hey, maybe I can start selling that at retail. But the neat thing that Calphalon did is that original product, we didn't change the design at all. It looked just like it was from the restaurant kitchen. If you did, I would hire you that quick. But we can kind of get in their shoes. And so you heard me talk a little bit about sometimes I actually will go and do these kind of research things. One of the research methods we use is kind of going to people's homes and actually just following somebody. And so I'll come to your house. You're like, what are you doing, Ben? But you'll know I'm there. And I'll just watch you prepare a meal. Maybe I'm learning how to build a better food processor. So I'll ask you to get your food processor out. Let me watch you. I'll tell you, don't take it out before I get there, because I want to see where you store it. So I actually want to watch all those things, and maybe your fifth login is heavy, and so I'll notice things along the way, and I'll be taking notes, and you'll just be cooking, make your thing, and that's an inexpensive way of doing research. Other times we have, consumer focus groups where they'll bring a whole group like you all in, and we'll set a food processor, there's a couple in the middle of the room, and you all talk about things you like or dislike about that food processor. So there's different ways of getting what consumers would like, but it's often hard to really get inside their minds. So again, good question. We are international. Okay, so, but not as international as our division would like. So I'm part of Newell Rubbermaid. So Newell Rubbermaid is a kind of a major parent company that's kind of like a holding company. It has many different brands, or we often say brands that matter, because they do matter, every one of them. But within each of those brands, some have more international presence than others. For example, Graco, which is one of our baby care products, they fall into the baby and parenting, they sell that product all over the world. Sharpie markers, everyone know what the Sharpie marker is? Newell Rubbermaid makes them, so that's kind of cool. And that one is huge international distribution. Calphalon, on the other hand, while we do sell some in Europe and in Asia and some in Latin America, we're not as broadly distributed internationally, and that's something we want to grow more of. And think of the international as such a much bigger market. But think about international. What would I need to know if I'm going to design pots for an international market? I'm going to design cookware for Spain. Well, different types of food. If I was designing cookware for Spain, what most important pan do you think I would have in Spain? Anyone heard of paella? Okay, paella? Yeah. Paella is a classic Spanish dish, If I was designing something for Italy, I'd want to make sure I had what kind of pot in there? A spaghetti pot, okay, a pasta pot, something to make pasta. So if I didn't have pasta, if I didn't know those international markets individually, I would have a very poor time selling my product there, because I have to kind of design products that meets that particular market's style of cooking.
Do you have interns?
We do have interns, We do intern programs. Usually this time of the year we're really gearing up. A lot of interns come. It's usually like their junior, senior year of college, that they're interning with us. And we have it in industrial design and in marketing and engineering, a lot of different categories, finance. And so it is a great way, and an intern program, if you're not familiar with it, is you're actually coming in and actually working for the company. A nice way to kind of getting inside of a company and understanding, like, for example, if you're interning in a restaurant kitchen, how does a restaurant kitchen really work? It's a little different than the class setting, and you learn so much in those intern programs. So if you have an opportunity to intern, strongly suggest it, because it's a great way. And then when you go to apply for jobs, it's really great when you finally get out of school and apply. They can say, well, I interned at, Chef, Eugene's restaurant. Oh, Eugene's restaurant. Wow. I might want to look at you a little bit more.
What's your most popular selling item?
The Frittata Pants. I've actually brought it. Does anyone know what a frittata is? Two ways. It's like an omelet that's not folded over, so it's like cooked up eggs, or a crustless quiche. So it's just basically set up eggs, and there's all kinds of things in it. And this pan is so popular because traditionally how you make a frittata is you cook it here, you know, maybe half a dozen eggs and all whatever ingredients you're going to put in there, maybe some onions, some bell peppers, other spices. And I usually cover it and let it set up till it's about set up 2/3 of the way through. It's a little runny in the center. And then I have to take a plate and put it on top of it. And very quickly flip it like that. And you know what happens when there's runny eggs? It's a mess. And then I take that set up egg thing and then slide it back in the pan. And then I'll let it cook up some more. So this was like talking about a problem, not as messy. We came up with how do you come up with a solution? What if instead of having a plate or the cover on it, we had another pan as the cover? We designed it, we had an interlocking lock on it there. And so now I'm ready to flip it. That's it.
Did you ever design something that didn't work?
Oh, yes. You got to bring up all my baggage. Oh, okay. So, anyone has a knife. Chopping with a knife sounds efficient, okay? What if I had two knives? You know, I've kind of seen that. Sometimes I've actually seen a chef hold two knives together, and you know how you do the chop, chop, chop across like that? So we came up with a device that was a handle. So this is the handle to the knife. And then it actually had two knife blades. I'll draw like that. Envision what that looked like. Okay? Novel, two knives. It also looks like a very mean weapon. And it didn't sell.
Do you design electronic equipment?
Electronic, we just recently started getting into kitchen electrics. Okay? And that has been a real lesson and eye-opener, because you think about it, this is a pot, okay? Y'all know that, you knew that, didn't you? What's he talking about? Okay, cookware, maybe we should say that, it's not pot, okay? There's the class here. But this is right here, a piece of cookware that is fairly simple. How many pieces does it have? Two, or if I count the handles and the rivets and the pieces before I put it together, 8 pieces total with all the rivets and handles. Not a lot of components. It's not very difficult to screw up on this. When you think of an electronic, like a toaster or a toaster oven, we have engineers, and then we have engineers specific for our electronics. And again, that's additional schooling or training those engineers go through.
Is there a big push for environmentally friendly equipment?
Yes, big. I mean, environmentally friendly is the buzzword. Green, you know, green. And so when you think of green, we have to look at a lot of different things. One is first the materials. It's pretty obvious, you know. Are the materials green friendly, you know, like petroleum-free product? Most nonstick coatings use petroleum as the base, you know. So again, or plastics, you know, so how do you come up with items that are non-petroleum based, you know? And what are the chemicals used in the manufacturing process of those? And so you have to work on greener items. Another way of looking at green is also a product life cycle. So when you talk about green, often you talk about green just in the materials. Maybe I have a pan that has a nonstick coating that maybe is made with a petroleum-based nonstick, okay? And they're also going to say, well, that's not the most green item. But a competitor comes out with an item that's not petroleum-based. They were green, but unfortunately, that coating they put on that pan isn't real durable. And so that pan will last you maybe 2 years. You have to buy a new one. My petroleum-based one, let's say I make over here, will last 30 years. Here, this one, if I have to replace that pan every 2 years, how many pans did I have to build? And so the life cycle was, you know, building a pan, how long it's in the market, how long you can use it, and how many times you have to replace it. So if I looked at the 30-year life cycle, one pan only made one pan. You didn't use petroleum on it, you know, had the byproducts there. But this other pan, I had to do 15 of them and waste all that energy and burn all that petroleum to ship it everywhere. And actually that product was less green. even though it didn't have the petroleum. So interesting ways that people are talking about green in life cycles as well as green just in the actual product.
Do you have to write the instructions for how to care for you?
So we have people that do the creative writing, and that's a full-time role for one of our employees there that does all the creative, the care and use, and there's technical writing is what it's often described as.
Do you use your stuff at home?
Only my stuff. No one else's. It's not allowed in my kitchen. If you come to my house and bring dinner in another pan, I ask you to leave. No. I would just move it into my pans. But no. But the person I'm most proud of having met and worked briefly with was Julia Child. Do we know who Julia Child is? Yes, so I do have a picture of me and Julia, and that's really special. But she is a member of International Association of Culinary Professionals, which I'm a member of, and it's an organization of cooking instructors and cookbook authors and things like that. They get together every year in a conference, and that's where I had a chance to work with her and meet with her. So again, a neat way of interfacing as you guys go into your careers, look at some of those associations or groups that you can get to be members of. It's great networking. So I think you all did a great job doing creating design, and I hope you all are inspired by this and look at other careers in addition to culinary. Use culinary as a great foundation, but think of other areas you could be designing, cookware or items. How many people have been in the kitchen back there and said, this is a stupid idea, why did they make this way? If anyone kind of issues with some of your equipment back there, yeah, he's like, who was designing that? I scratch my head all the time when I pick up things like, who designed this pencil? This is not going to work right, and I get frustrated with design. So again, I'm sure you guys do that, and if you were a designer, you could solve those problems. Besides just designing kitchen items or anything, I think you could be designing the kitchen space. You could be even an architect, but there are people that are kitchen designers that just go in and design kitchen spaces and make it more usable. I mean, think about you got your cookie sheets here, but your mixer is all the way on this end of the kitchen. Who designed this kitchen? When you put the cookie sheets next to the mixers, So again, that's why good design is very important, and bad design is very painful.